There's plenty of racing games out on the PlayStation 1, but if you're a big fan of Porsche, this one might be good for you. But is it any good? Have a little look. When 32-bit systems made an appearance in the mid-90s, racing games started to pour out in the masses, with real engine noises and graphics that looked just like the real thing. Except this game where the cars look bent. You know, just like the Peugeot 206 in the advert. This game is just an arcade racer. There's no cringy backstory, just get in your car and go. You only have a choice of Porsche Boxsters, each with their owners which have their own unique personalities. And when I say personalities, I mean a bunch of stereotypical game characters that appear to be cool. Let's have a look at them. There's Dan the kickboxer, who kind of resembles Michael from GTA 5, Beats the DJ, Takabo the hacker, Nikita the journalist, Marco the mechanic, and Rachel the model. I don't get why they have to give them these backgrounds. No one cares what they do for a living, and it's so cringy. Dan the kickboxer, big fucking whoop, he's racing, not fighting. There's Beats the DJ, sounds like a total bellend if you've got a name that reflects your job. I've got a few mates with names like that. There's Woody the carpenter, Sparks the electrician, and Water the plumber. There's Takabo the hacker, what a prick. I can imagine him in a budget film with 3 laptops hacking some big mainframe with a Bluetooth earpiece guiding another twat through some other bullshit. With stupid one-liners like Theo the twat had in Die Hard. Also these computer sound effects beeping that don't actually happen in real life, like these. Fuck off. In the game, these dimwits have different feelings towards each other. For example, Marco really likes Dan but hates Rachel, and this affects the way the race plays out. I wouldn't know anything about these game mechanics as I couldn't control the fucking car. The game has a few different game modes. They are Championship for the full-on race experience, Practice and Time Trial modes. If you want to get into this game, I'd advise Practice mode for a few hours. Once in Championship, you can choose from Simulation or Arcade. Arcade is for the more laid-back driving experience suitable for beginners, and Simulation is meant to give you the full experience of a real Boxster, and if that's anything to go by, there's no fucking chance I'd ever buy one. Difficulty settings are easy, regular and evil. The tracks themselves don't seem to be too bad. They aren't anything special but not too ridiculous at the same time. But trying to get around a corner can prove difficult. Well, even the straights are bad enough. Now I remember owning the demo of this and thought at the time it was a great game, but in retrospect it's really tricky. Maybe because as technology moved on we got the analog sticks to perfect our controls. We only had the directional buttons, so when you steer the car you're effectively steering full lock as you hold the button, so you have to tap the directional buttons. But even then it's like the driver has been on a massive drinking session and jumped straight into the car. I couldn't see the signs properly that warn you there's a corner coming up, so I end up in the barrier. What's wrong with the standard chevrons? You know, the black and white ones you can actually see? Not a dim blue and yellow sign that you don't see in any racing game. The courses that are available are quite varied and look okay. There's a regular racetrack, city street, and up in the snowy hills. The backgrounds can't keep up as there's plenty of pop-up going on. This can be distracting, especially if you're looking in the distance to see what's coming up next. As for the cars themselves, they all seem to handle the same, which is piss poor. I'm sure after a lot of practice it would get easier, but just off the bat it's terrible. Driving across dirt or grass will of course slow you down, but when you spend 90% of the time on these, then you don't stand much chance of winning. The timer is against you, which puts a huge amount of pressure on you to get to the next checkpoint. Again, if you're not used to the controls like this, you're not going to make it to the end. The music is pretty bland as there's only 4 tracks to choose from. They're all crap, to be honest. Something more upbeat would have suited it better, maybe a few licensed tracks like Wipeout. And don't think like Mario Kart or the majority of racing games that if you come 3rd or higher you'll make it to the next race. You won't. You must come first or it's game over. That's pretty shitty, and for me it's a game killer.
it didn't make me want to try harder to better myself. One thing I did like, and that's the rev counter. Instead of your usual face dial, you get a close-up of the needle and the dial rotates behind it. Quite a nice touch back then, and I don't think I've seen the same idea since. This game sadly isn't what I remembered it, and if you're the same and you haven't played it since the 90s, then you may be sadly disappointed too. But if you can nail the controls, then it's not a bad game at all. But with all the practice I had, I still couldn't master it. As of today, it costs less than a McDonald's meal, and I know which one I'd prefer. This game lives up to its name. It really is a challenge, and not one I'm likely to keep playing.